Some people are born into the world with bodies that match what society calls normal, while others are born with physical differences that immediately make life harder. For many, these differences become a source of shame, pain, and rejection. But for a few extraordinary black public figures, their unusual physical conditions became a turning point, not because life was easy, but because they chose not to let society define their worth. These stories are not about shock or curiosity alone. They are about strength, courage, and the power of self-acceptance. One such story is that of Waris Dirie, a world-famous African supermodel whose beauty stunned the fashion industry, yet whose childhood was marked by unimaginable pain. When she was only 5 years old, Waris was forced to undergo female genital mutilation, a cruel traditional practice carried out in some poor regions to control women's bodies. The pain was unbearable, both physically and emotionally. She later described it as feeling like a part of her life was taken away without her consent. For many years, Waris lived in silence, carrying a scar no one could see. Despite this trauma, she escaped poverty, moved to London, and was discovered as a model. She walked the world's biggest runways, admired for her elegance and strength while hiding a painful secret. Eventually, Waris made a brave choice. She decided to speak openly about her experience, even though it was deeply personal. Her voice shook the world. By sharing her story, she helped millions understand the horrors of this practice and inspired mothers to protect their daughters. Waris transformed her pain into a mission, becoming a global activist and proving that even the deepest scars can become a source of hope. Another powerful story is that of Koudia Diop, often called the melanin goddess. Koudia was born with extremely dark skin, darker than most people around her. Instead of being celebrated, her skin became the reason she was mocked and bullied throughout her childhood. Children and even adults called her cruel names, making her feel like she did not belong anywhere. Every stare reminded her that she was different. As a teenager, Koudia dreamed of escaping the judgment around her, so she moved to France hoping life would be kinder. But the loneliness followed her. One day, while crying alone in a park, a photographer approached her and told her something she had never heard before, that her skin was beautiful. At first, she did not believe him. Years of insults had taught her to expect cruelty, not kindness. But that moment changed her life. Photos of Koudia spread across social media, not as jokes, but as admiration. The same skin once rejected became her greatest strength. She entered the fashion world and broke old beauty standards that had ignored women like her for generations. Koudia became a symbol of pride for people with dark skin everywhere. Young girls began to see themselves differently because of her. She did not just become a model, she became a voice reminding the world that beauty does not come in one color. Then there is Mahogany Getter, a runway model born with lymphedema, a condition that caused one of her legs to swell much larger than the other. Growing up, Mahogany faced constant teasing. Children mocked her walk, her body, and her appearance. She felt embarrassed and tried to hide her leg whenever possible. Simple activities like school trips or sports became moments of fear. But life had a surprising turn waiting for her. One day, a photographer noticed her while she was walking down the street and told her she was unique. At first, she doubted him. For so long, uniqueness had meant rejection. But when her photos went online, people did not laugh. They admired her confidence. Her leg, once the source of pain, became her signature. Mahogany walked major fashion runways and used her platform to spread awareness about lymphedema. She showed the world that physical difference does not cancel beauty or strength. Her story taught many people that confidence can change how the world sees you. Not all physical differences are visible, and some are hidden behind silence and fear. One man known online as John, born with a very rare medical condition involving duplicated anatomy, spent much of his life feeling isolated. From a young age, he knew he was different, but he did not know how to talk about it. Fear followed him everywhere, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as strange. During his teenage years, these feelings grew stronger. While others discussed relationships and confidence, John stayed quiet. Eventually, he found the courage to speak to doctors and learn about his condition. He was given the option to change his body through surgery, but after deep thought, he chose to accept himself as he was. Instead of hiding, John shared his story publicly. His honesty helped many people struggling with their own bodies feel less alone. His story was never about shock, it was about choice, dignity, and self-respect. By standing confidently in his truth, John turned what society labeled as abnormal into a message of acceptance. Famous actor Denzel Washington is admired worldwide for his talent, leadership, and powerful performances. Yet few people know that he has a visibly crooked pinky finger caused by an old injury. While this may seem small, it became a source of teasing during his youth. People doubted him, joked about him, and made him feel self-conscious. Even early in his acting career, some believed his appearance could limit his success. But Denzel never allowed a minor physical flaw to distract him from his purpose. He focused on discipline, hard work, and excellence. Over time, the very thing people once mocked became a symbol of resilience. Denzel's story reminds us that no physical imperfection can stop someone who refuses to quit. Another entertainer who turned a physical difference into power is Damon Wayans, a legendary comedian known for his humor and confidence. Damon grew up with bow legs, a condition that made him stand and walk differently. As a child, this brought jokes, ridicule, and embarrassment. Instead of letting the laughter hurt him, Damon learned to control it. He used humor as a shield. Every joke made about him became a joke he told better. Comedy became his way of surviving and later thriving. On stage, his physical movement, expressions, and confidence made his performances unforgettable. Damon's journey shows that sometimes what people laugh at can become the reason they admire you. Then there is Joseph Williams, a DJ born without a lower jaw due to a rare condition. Communication was difficult, and life was filled with challenges most people could not imagine. Yet Joseph discovered music at a young age. He realized that music did not require speech, it required feeling. Learning was difficult, and many doubted him, but Joseph refused to give up. When he performed, his music spoke for him. Audiences listened, felt the emotion, and connected deeply. Joseph's success is proof that limitations do not define talent. Passion and dedication do. Perhaps one of the most medically extraordinary stories is that of Stan Larkin, a young man who lived for 555 days without a natural heart. After collapsing during a basketball game, Stan learned he had a serious genetic heart condition. Doctors removed his failing heart and replaced it with an artificial device that kept him alive. Living with the machine was frightening and exhausting. It made noise, required constant care, and reminded him daily that life was fragile. Still, Stan chose not to stop living. He walked, exercised, and inspired others by showing courage in the face of uncertainty. When he finally received a donor heart, his story became a symbol of both modern medicine and human determination. Stan's journey teaches us that life is not defined by what is missing, but by how we move forward. Another inspiring figure is Caleb Mutombo, a bodybuilder born with sickle cell disease, a condition that causes intense pain and fatigue. Doctors once told him to avoid physical stress, but Caleb refused to accept weakness as his identity. Training was painful, slow, and dangerous at times, but he listened to his body and pushed carefully. People laughed at his dreams, saying bodybuilding was impossible for someone like him. Caleb proved them wrong. Through discipline and resilience, he built strength not only in his muscles but in his spirit. His story encourages people facing illness to believe in their own potential. Across all these stories, one truth remains clear. These individuals were not strong because their lives were easy. They were strong because they faced rejection, fear, pain, and doubt, and still chose to rise. Society often teaches us to hide what makes us different. These stories teach us the opposite. They show us that our differences can become our power if we accept them fully. The world does not change because everyone becomes the same. It changes because brave individuals stand tall in their truth. These Black public figures did more than succeed, they changed how beauty, strength, and worth are defined. Their journeys remind us that the body we are born with does not decide our future. Our courage does. The human body is often judged before the human heart is ever understood. From childhood, people are taught what is normal and what is different, and sadly, anyone who does not fit into that narrow idea is often mocked, ignored, or underestimated. But history has shown us again and again that the most unusual bodies often carry the strongest spirits. In this video, we explore black celebrities whose bodies were considered strange, rare, or unusual, yet those very features became the source of their power, identity, and inspiration. These are not just stories about physical differences. They are stories about courage, pain, rejection, and transformation. One such story begins with Caleb Mutombo, a man born with a medical condition that made his muscles unusually weak. Doctors warned him early in life that his body was not designed for heavy physical activity. His muscles lacked the strength and density needed for traditional sports or weightlifting, and even simple physical tasks caused him pain. For most people, this would have been the end of the dream. But for Caleb, it was the beginning. Growing up, he watched other boys run, lift, and compete while he stood on the sidelines. His body failed him again and again, but his mind refused to accept defeat. Without access to a gym, without professional trainers, and without expensive equipment, Caleb began training in the only place he could, his small room. Water bottles became dumbbells. Bags of rice replaced weights. Wooden chairs turned into workout tools. Every movement hurt. Every session pushed his weak muscles beyond their limits. But each day, he reminded himself that weakness is not destiny. It is a challenge. Slowly, his body began to respond. Not in the way of massive muscles, but in endurance, control, and discipline. When competition day finally arrived, Caleb stood among men whose bodies looked far stronger than his. His physique did not impress at first glance, but when he performed, the room fell silent. His control, balance, and determination spoke louder than size ever could. He did not win first place, but he won something far more important: respect. His unusual body, once seen as a limitation, became proof that strength comes from persistence, not perfection. Another unforgettable story is that of Ben Underwood, a boy whose body adapted in a way that still amazes scientists today. At just 2 years old, Ben lost his eyesight due to a rare form of cancer. Darkness became his permanent reality, and many believed his life would be filled with limitations. But Ben's brain had other plans. Instead of accepting blindness as an end, his body developed an extraordinary ability known as echolocation. This rare neurological adaptation allowed Ben to see using sound. By making clicking noises with his mouth, Ben could hear the echoes bounce back from objects around him. His brain transformed these echoes into mental images, creating a map of the world without using his eyes. This ability is extremely rare, even among blind individuals. Ben's brain essentially rewired itself to replace sight with sound. By the age of 3, he was walking independently. Soon after, he was riding bikes, playing basketball, and navigating spaces that even sighted people found difficult. His unusual ability was not magic. It was practice, courage, and adaptation. Ben refused to live in fear. When asked if he was afraid of falling or getting hurt, he calmly replied that fear is natural, but courage is a choice. His words inspired millions. Sadly, Ben's journey was cut short when cancer returned, and he passed away at the age of 16. But his legacy lives on as a symbol of human potential. His body lost one sense but gained another in a way that redefined what it means to see. These stories remind us that an unusual body part is not always visible. Sometimes it exists in the brain, in the nervous system, or in the silent strength that refuses to give up. In a world obsessed with perfection, these individuals show us that being different is not a weakness. It is often the beginning of greatness. While some unusual body parts are hidden beneath the skin, others are impossible to ignore. Troy James is a man whose body seems to defy human anatomy. Born with extreme spinal and joint flexibility, Troy can bend, twist, and contort his body into shapes that appear unnatural and frightening. His spine bends backward and sideways at angles most bodies would break from. His joints rotate far beyond what doctors consider normal. As a child, this rare physical trait made him a target for ridicule. Other children called him names like Scorpion Man and Pipe Body, treating him like a monster instead of a human being. His unusual body isolated him, making him feel like he did not belong in the normal world. But instead of hiding his difference, Troy chose to master it. He spent years training his flexibility, not just to entertain, but to control every movement with precision. His body became an instrument, capable of expressing fear, tension, and horror without words. This rare ability led him into the world of horror films, where his unusual body finally found a place. During auditions, directors were left speechless by his movements. His spine twisted in ways that looked impossible, creating images that haunted viewers long after the screen went dark. Yet behind the terrifying performances was a man still struggling with self-acceptance. Troy often felt trapped in the horror genre, believing his body only belonged in nightmares. That belief changed when a fan told him that seeing Troy perform gave them confidence to accept their own body. In that moment, Troy realized his unusual spine was not a curse. It was a voice for others who felt out of place. Another powerful example is Ralph Seuant, a model whose skin tells a story of rarity and resilience. Ralph was born with dense freckles covering his face and body, a genetic trait that is extremely rare on dark skin. While freckles are common on lighter skin tones, their appearance on darker skin is unusual and often misunderstood. Growing up, Ralph faced cruel teasing. Children compared him to animals and mocked his appearance daily. These experiences made him ashamed of his skin. He tried to hide his freckles, hoping they would fade with time. But they never did. As he grew older, something changed. Instead of fighting his reflection, Ralph began to question society's idea of beauty. One day, he saw an advertisement for a modeling competition. Doubt filled his mind. Would anyone accept a model who looked like him? Despite the fear, he entered. For the first time, Ralph chose not to hide his freckles. He displayed them proudly. On the runway, his skin captured attention not because it fit traditional beauty standards, but because it challenged them. His freckles became his signature. Designers, photographers, and audiences saw something fresh, rare, and powerful. Ralph's unusual skin did not end his dreams. It created them. His success sent a message across the world: beauty does not need permission to exist. It simply needs confidence. These stories show us that unusual body parts often come with emotional scars. The pain of being different can shape a person's identity in powerful ways. But when embraced, those same differences can change industries, inspire movements, and redefine what society considers normal. The body is not just a physical form. It is a story, written through struggle, growth, and self-acceptance. As we look at these lives together, one truth becomes clear: the world often misunderstands what it does not recognize. Unusual body parts are frequently labeled as flaws, disabilities, or imperfections. But history shows us that many of the people who changed the world did so because they were different, not despite it. These black celebrities did not wake up famous or confident. They were shaped by rejection, pain, and doubt. Their bodies made them stand out long before their talents did. Society told them they were too weak, too strange, too broken, or too different. Yet each of them made a choice. They chose to stop hiding. They chose to stop apologizing for their bodies. They chose to redefine strength. Strength is not always visible in muscles or size. Sometimes it exists in a brain that learns to see without eyes. Sometimes it lives in a spine that bends but never breaks. Sometimes it appears on skin that refuses to be erased. These individuals remind us that the human body is capable of incredible adaptation. When one path is closed, the body finds another way. When society rejects what it does not understand, courage becomes the loudest voice. These stories are not just about celebrities. They are about anyone who has ever felt uncomfortable in their own skin. Anyone who has ever been laughed at, ignored, or underestimated because of how they look. The lesson is simple but powerful: being born different is not a mistake. It is a responsibility. A responsibility to show the world that value does not come from fitting in, but from standing out. When we celebrate unusual bodies, we celebrate human potential. We move closer to a world where difference is not feared, but respected. These stories ask us to change how we look at others and how we look at ourselves. Because the body you were given may not match society's expectations, but it may be exactly what the world needs. True strength is not found in perfect bodies. It is found in unbreakable spirits. When it comes to beauty, the world often tells us to fit into certain standards: smooth skin, perfect symmetry, tall height, or slim bodies. But some of the most remarkable people in the world prove that real beauty doesn't come from perfection. It comes from uniqueness, self-confidence, and embracing what makes you different. Ralph, for example, became famous not because he had flawless skin or long legs, but because he dared to be himself. Ralph walked into a modeling contest with freckled skin that many might have considered unusual or imperfect. Yet, he held his head high, his steps full of confidence. When the results were announced, Ralph didn't just win, he shattered the old ideas of what a model should look like. He declared, "I'm not a perfect model, but I am my own model. I'm proud of my skin, and I'll never hide what makes me special." That simple statement wasn't just about him. It became a lesson for everyone watching: beauty isn't about copying others. It's about celebrating yourself, your differences, and your individuality. Ralph now walks on the biggest runways in the world, inspiring countless people to embrace their own skin, freckles, or any unique trait they may have. His story is a shining example of how courage and self-belief can turn what society calls flaws into powerful symbols of confidence. Similarly, Winnie Harlow turned her vitiligo into a symbol of strength and inspiration. From a young age, Winnie's dark skin was marked by beautiful white patches, caused by a condition called vitiligo. When she was a child, she faced teasing and harsh stares from other kids. They called her strange and made her feel like she didn't belong. But Winnie's family encouraged her to see her differences not as weaknesses, but as gifts. They reminded her that if everyone looked the same, life would be dull and predictable. Over time, Winnie began to embrace her skin's patterns as something unique. When she entered the fashion industry, she refused to hide her vitiligo. At auditions where other models showed smooth, even-toned skin, Winnie stood out. Some people stared, curious and skeptical. Yet, she remained confident. Her uniqueness caught the attention of designers, and one of them said, "You are a work of art." Sometimes beauty comes from imperfection. That's real beauty. Today, Winnie Harlow is not just a successful model, she is an icon of confidence and self-love. She teaches millions worldwide that being different can be your biggest strength, and embracing yourself fully can open doors to unimaginable opportunities. Meshi Alant Lucky's story also highlights how unusual traits can become extraordinary advantages. Meshi was born with heterochromatic eyes, one blue and one brown. But his life was not easy. He grew up in a broken family, and during his youth, he fell into trouble, making poor decisions and getting into fights. At one point, he faced jail time, and many believed he would never escape a difficult path. While serving time, Meshi realized he had a choice: continue down a destructive road or turn his life around. He chose to embrace change. His mismatched eyes, which might have seemed strange to some, became his signature in the modeling world. At his first casting call after his release, his unique eyes captivated everyone in the room. Soon, he was invited to model for international brands, turning what once might have been a source of doubt into a powerful symbol of resilience and transformation. Meshi's story reminds us that our differences are not barriers, they can be keys to a brighter, more meaningful life. Unusual traits that led to extraordinary talent. Some celebrities' unusual body traits didn't just make them unique, they became the foundation for their incredible careers. Take Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. Many people might assume that Bolt's journey to speed was natural and easy. In reality, as a child, his unusually long legs made running difficult. His movements looked awkward, and some friends even called him stilts. Despite this, Usain didn't give up. His coach noticed his unusual stride and taught him how to use it effectively. Those long legs, once thought to be a disadvantage, became his greatest strength. Each stride covered more ground than any competitor's, turning him into a record-breaking sprinter. He set the world record for the 100 meters at 9.58 seconds and the 200 meters at 19.19 seconds. Bolt's story teaches us that traits others see as flaws may be gifts waiting to be discovered. What seems strange or awkward today might be tomorrow's superpower if you learn to embrace it. Stephen Wiltshire's story shows that unusual abilities can make someone a living legend. Stephen is an autistic artist who can recreate entire cities from memory with breathtaking detail. In 1987, he drew London entirely from memory. Where other artists struggled with simple perspectives, Stephen captured every street, every building, every reflection perfectly. His ability to see and remember details that others miss is not just artistic, it is a gift. Stephen's drawings allow people to see the world through his eyes, transforming his unique way of experiencing life into something everyone can appreciate. His story reminds us that our differences don't need to fit society's definition of normal to be extraordinary. In fact, they can help us change the world. Richard Sandra, also known as Little Hercules, shows a different kind of unusual body trait, extraordinary strength. By the age of 6, Richard could lift weights that most adults couldn't. Yet, his strength came with sacrifices. He followed a strict training schedule set by his father, missing out on normal childhood experiences like playing soccer or having fun with friends. Over time, Richard realized that true strength is not just physical, it's also about happiness and balance. He stepped away from extreme training to reclaim his life, teaching us that unusual talents or gifts must be paired with joy and well-being to truly shine. The power of uniqueness and inspiration. Other celebrities have unusual body traits that may not seem important at first, but they've shaped their lives in extraordinary ways. Some artists and performers have distinctive features that set them apart and help them inspire millions. For instance, some models and public figures have unique patterns on their skin, unusual eye colors, or distinctive physical proportions. These traits, which could have been sources of insecurity, became the keys to their success. By embracing who they are, they challenge society's narrow standards of beauty and success. These stories share common lessons: self-acceptance, resilience, and courage. Ralph's freckles, Winnie's vitiligo, Mesh's mismatched eyes, Bolt's long legs, Stephen's memory, and Richard's muscles all show that unusual traits don't limit people, they empower them. They teach us that what makes us different can also make us extraordinary. Instead of hiding, these celebrities highlight their uniqueness. They show us that confidence transforms perception, turning what others see as flaws into defining strengths. Moreover, these individuals serve as role models for millions around the world. Young people struggling with their own differences can look at these stories and find hope. They can see that being unusual is not a limitation, but a potential source of creativity, strength, and inspiration. The message is simple yet profound: embrace yourself, trust your journey, and celebrate what makes you different. The world doesn't need more clones, it needs more people who are willing to be themselves, just like Ralph, Winnie, Meshi, Usain, Stephen, and Richard. Their lives remind us that our differences are our greatest assets, capable of opening doors to opportunities, inspiration, and success that would otherwise remain out of reach. In conclusion, these 19 black celebrities prove that unusual body parts or unique traits are not obstacles. They are badges of individuality, reminders that beauty, talent, and greatness are not defined by conformity. Instead, they are defined by courage, self-love, and the ability to turn what others see as flaws into sources of power. By embracing their uniqueness, they not only transformed their own lives but also inspired millions worldwide to do the same. Whether it's through modeling, athletics, art, or personal courage, these celebrities show that being different is a gift that can shine brighter than any standard of perfection. When we talk about extraordinary people, we often think about talent, fame, or wealth. But there is a different kind of greatness, one that shines in those who face incredible challenges and still rise above. Today, we will explore the lives of 19 black celebrities who have not only stood out in the world because of their unique physical traits but also because of their strength, courage, and determination. Each of these individuals teaches us something important: that being different is not a weakness, but a source of power. The first celebrity we will discuss is someone many people may not know by name but whose impact has been felt across sports and entertainment: Richard Sandrak, famously known as Little Hercules. Born with an unusually muscular physique, Richard captured the world's attention as a child. Unlike other children who spent their days playing or learning in school, Richard's life revolved around training, building strength, and performing feats that many adults could not even dream of achieving. While some critics argued that he was pushed too hard as a child, Richard's story is not just about muscles or performance. It is about discipline, resilience, and understanding oneself. He never had to be the strongest to prove his worth. He simply showed the world that real strength comes from knowing yourself and pursuing your passion with dedication. His story reminds us that sometimes, our differences, in this case, his extraordinary muscle development, can become the foundation of a unique path to success, if approached with balance and guidance. Next on the list is someone whose story is perhaps even more inspiring because it challenges our very perception of limitation. Zion Clark, born with caudal regression syndrome, had no legs from birth. Most children would find this condition overwhelming, facing not only physical limitations but also social isolation. Zion's early life was marked by difficulties that many of us cannot even imagine. While other kids ran freely, played games, and explored the world with boundless energy, Zion often watched from the sidelines, longing to join in but unable to participate. Gym classes and playground games reminded him every day that his body was different, and it would take a strong heart and mind to overcome the challenges ahead. Yet, life sometimes gives moments of clarity and inspiration, and for Zion, it came in the form of a wrestling match on television when he was just 12 years old. Watching the athletes grapple, he felt a spark, an unusual mix of excitement, curiosity, and determination. Something inside him said, "Why can't I do this too?" That single thought changed the course of his life. From that day onward, Zion committed himself to a journey of relentless training and personal growth. He developed a regimen tailored to his body, learning to use his upper body strength in ways most athletes would never consider. Each day presented challenges, but he tackled them with an unyielding spirit. Coaches were skeptical at first, peers doubted him, and obstacles were frequent, yet Zion persevered. Over time, he not only participated in wrestling competitions but set world records, proving that determination and belief in oneself can overcome even the most daunting physical limitations. Today, Zion is not just a wrestler, he is a source of inspiration for millions worldwide, showing that the human spirit is capable of extraordinary feats, even when the body seems constrained. The journey of overcoming physical difference does not stop there. Consider the story of Gabriel Estevao Monjane, the tallest man in the world from Mozambique. Standing at 8 feet 1 inch, 2.46 meters, Gabriel's height was both his identity and his challenge. From childhood, simple tasks became monumental. Sitting at school desks, walking through doorways, and even moving around freely presented daily struggles. Children can be cruel, and Gabriel often faced teasing and stares, making him feel out of place. Yet instead of succumbing to frustration or self-doubt, Gabriel chose to embrace his uniqueness. His height, which many saw as a limitation, became a source of opportunity and advantage. By his early 20s, Gabriel entered strength and athletic competitions, where his extraordinary height allowed him to dominate events in ways others could not. His long legs and towering physique were combined with remarkable strength and agility, making him a formidable competitor. However, his story is not only about winning competitions or breaking records, it is about challenging society's perception of difference. Gabriel taught the world that being different is not something to hide or be ashamed of. Instead, difference can be celebrated and transformed into personal power. His life, like Zion's and Richard's, carries a profound message. Our uniqueness can shape our journey, inspire others, and redefine what is possible. The first 3 stories alone reveal a pattern. Each of these individuals faced enormous challenges related to their bodies, yet they transformed what could have been a weakness into a strength. From extraordinary muscles to the absence of limbs, to towering height, these celebrities remind us that human potential is not limited by physical traits but is enhanced by determination, creativity, and resilience. Their journeys also highlight an important lesson about perception. Society often views difference as a limitation, something to be pitied or corrected. Yet, when these individuals harnessed their unique traits with confidence and purpose, the very traits that others considered obstacles became their signature strengths, setting them apart and leaving a lasting impact on the world. Now imagine expanding this idea to a list of 19 celebrities, each with a story of uniqueness and resilience. Among them, you will find people with extraordinary facial features, distinctive hair patterns, unusual limb proportions, and even rare medical conditions. Each story is a testament to the power of embracing oneself fully, of transforming adversity into opportunity, and of inspiring millions through courage and self-belief. Whether it's someone breaking records, changing public perception, or simply living authentically in the face of societal judgment, the message is clear: being different is not a weakness. It is a hidden strength waiting to be discovered and celebrated. Continuing our journey through the lives of extraordinary individuals, we encounter people who, like Zion Clark and Gabriel Estevio Monjane, have faced challenges that most of us can only imagine. Their stories teach us about courage, resilience, and the beauty of embracing one's uniqueness. Among these remarkable figures is Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball legend whose height and physical prowess have made him a household name. Standing at 7 feet 1 inch, Shaq's size was initially intimidating, even to him. Growing up, he struggled to find clothing that fit and felt awkward in social situations where peers were much smaller. However, Shaq quickly realized that his height could become his greatest asset. By focusing on basketball and training diligently, he turned what some considered a challenge into unprecedented success on the court. His height, combined with agility and charisma, helped him dominate games, earn multiple championships, and become one of the most beloved sports figures in history. Shaq's story reminds us that even traits that seem overwhelming or inconvenient can become sources of extraordinary opportunity when approached with determination and self-belief. Another inspiring story is that of Winnie Harlow, a supermodel who has vitiligo, a skin condition that causes patches of depigmentation. As a child, Winnie faced teasing, bullying, and even feelings of isolation because her skin looked different from her peers. Yet, instead of hiding or feeling ashamed, she embraced her unique appearance. By doing so, she challenged traditional beauty standards in the fashion industry. Today, Winnie Harlow walks runways around the world, appearing in high-profile campaigns and magazine covers. She has become a symbol of self-acceptance and empowerment, proving that perceived imperfections can become signatures of individuality and strength. Her journey encourages millions of people to celebrate their differences rather than conform to societal expectations. Next, we have Peter Dinklage, the acclaimed actor best known for his role as Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. Peter has dwarfism, which presented numerous challenges growing up. From a young age, he experienced physical limitations, social teasing, and feelings of exclusion. However, Peter refused to let societal perception define him. He pursued acting with passion, honing his craft and eventually becoming one of the most respected actors in modern cinema. His talent, wit, and presence on screen transcend his physical difference, and he uses his platform to show that uniqueness should never limit ambition. Peter's story is a testament to how resilience and talent can redefine perception, turning what some might see as a limitation into a celebrated strength. In the realm of sports, we also encounter Dennis Rodman, a basketball player renowned not only for his height and athletic skill but also for his distinctive style and colorful personality. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches, Dennis used his physical presence to excel in rebounding and defense. However, his story is also one of personal expression and individuality. Throughout his career, Rodman faced criticism for his unconventional appearances, including tattoos, piercings, and dyed hair. Instead of conforming, he embraced his uniqueness, showing the world that physical traits, combined with personality and confidence, can create a memorable and impactful legacy. His journey teaches us that being different, whether in appearance or behavior, can be a source of empowerment rather than judgment. Another fascinating figure is Connie Chiu, a model and advocate who has albinism. Albinism results in very light skin and hair, along with vision challenges. Growing up, Connie often felt isolated due to her appearance and the way people stared or treated her differently. Yet she transformed this difference into an asset, pursuing modeling and advocacy work to raise awareness about albinism and inspire others. Connie's story shows that embracing one's physical uniqueness can open doors to opportunity, education, and social impact, reminding us that challenges can become avenues for inspiration. We also celebrate the achievements of Sia Figiel, a musician and athlete with uniquely long limbs, which initially made certain physical activities challenging. Sia struggled with coordination in her early years, often feeling frustrated when trying to keep up with peers. Instead of giving up, she focused on training, refining her abilities, and using her unique body structure to her advantage. Her long limbs allowed her to perform movements and feats that were otherwise difficult, eventually contributing to her success in both sports and performance. Sia's story emphasizes the importance of seeing potential in what others might view as limitation, turning natural differences into tools for success. Then there is Vin Diesel, known not just for his acting in blockbuster films but also for having exceptionally muscular proportions. While many actors train and build muscles, Vin's natural body structure gave him a distinctive edge in portraying strong, heroic characters. Early in his career, he faced challenges fitting into typical Hollywood molds, where physical appearance is closely scrutinized. Yet, he leveraged his unique body to create a niche in action films, becoming a household name. His journey shows that physical traits, when embraced strategically, can shape career paths and create iconic identities. Finally, Part 2 introduces Grace Jones, the singer, model, and actress celebrated for her unconventional facial features and statuesque physique. Growing up in Jamaica, Grace often felt different from those around her due to her height, bone structure, and distinctive style. Rather than conforming, she cultivated a bold and unapologetic identity, combining music, modeling, and performance to captivate audiences worldwide. Grace's career proves that embracing physical uniqueness is not just a personal victory, it can be a transformative force that challenges norms and inspires generations. As we reflect on these stories, a pattern emerges. Each of these individuals, whether in sports, entertainment, or advocacy, demonstrates that physical differences, be they height, limb proportions, skin conditions, or muscular build, are not barriers. Instead, they can become sources of creativity, strength, and influence. Their journeys show that challenges, when met with determination and self-acceptance, can transform into inspirational triumphs. Society often labels those who are different as odd or other, but these celebrities teach us that being different is a powerful advantage when embraced with courage and purpose.